Former President Trump was at Arlington National Cemetery, where he marked the 3-year anniversary of the bombing that killed 13 service members during the Afghanistan withdrawal.
I am the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley McCollum, killed in Afghanistan.
And I'm the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover.
I'm a Gold Star father. My son, Corporal Hunter Lopez, was a U.S. Marine killed in action on August 26, 2021.
My daughter-in-law, Sergeant Nicole Leanne G., was killed in the Afghanistan exit at Abbey Gate.
I'm the father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui.
I am Corporal Humberto Sanchez's mother.
This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz.
But Vice President Harris bragged about being the last person in the room cheerleading the withdrawal of all forces that led to the death of these 13, rise in terrorism, combine that with a broken border, another 9/11's coming our way. So what I take away from this whole debate about Arlington is why they died, how they died, and the incompetency that led to their death. To the American people, we've lost deterrence. Nobody in the world is afraid of Kamala Harris. She has become, in my view, ineffective in terms of a voice for America. So if you want to avoid more dead Americans, vote for Trump.
Spending time with what's left of my family to address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. We invited him to be there. We wanted a leader. You have 13 families who have been waiting over 3 years to so much as get a phone call, to so much as hear our kids' names. You're despicable. You have zero business running this country. And I pray to God, Americans, wake the hell up and get your ass out of office. You have spit in our face for the last fucking time.
I'd just like to say one last thing on this, because I think it's important, and I've seen a lot of the headlines and the stories and the concerns that people are raising about this. But to me, as a soldier and as someone who has been deployed to different war zones in the world, and I have friends who are buried there at Section 60, what is more outrageous to me is that there wasn't universal coverage of the momentous day of the 3rd anniversary of the loss of these 13 Gold Star families, and the outrage that they feel that their loved ones are not getting the kind of coverage and memory that their great sacrifice deserves. That is what everyone should be outraged about.
Kamala, your statement is nothing more than a political spin to help you look better in your presidential campaign against Donald Trump. What happened at Arlington was President Trump was invited by those families who have their soldiers buried at Arlington. They were invited there as a friend, as somebody who has taken the time, numerous times, on numerous occasions, to hear our stories, to speak our kids' names, and to help us get some accountability from your administration, because in over 3 years, we have gotten nothing but more and more lies. Just like your statement, more and more spun lies and cover-ups to make you and your administration look good.
My son is not buried in Arlington. Really feel like when President Trump went and paid tribute and pay his respect in Arlington for our kids, it was not just the ones buried in there. It was for all of our kids. And it was an invitation that the families actually extend to him.
I was there from the beginning with the laying of the wreaths with the family members, the Gold Star family members, and some of the survivors of that terrorist attack in that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was with them at Section 60, and what I saw was a very grave and somber remembrance and honoring of those lives that were lost. And I saw President Trump spending time at the invitation of these Gold Star families with them. He was there for a few hours. I did not see or hear about any kind of altercation until something came out in the news later on. The families were there grieving alongside President Trump, and it was a very special moment to really remember their names, remember their memories, and understand the true cost of war and the consequences of the decisions that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made in the...
Vice President Harris and your administration killed my son. Your choice to play politics in 2021 killed 170 Afghans, 13 U.S. service members, and wounded 45 of our service members, as well as countless Afghans. You were not at Dover for the dignified transfer. At no time have you reached out to me to offer your condolences, to offer thank you for Kareem's sacrifice and service. Not once have you honored him by saying his name, so I said it for you. You have disparaged all 13 who have lost their lives as well as their families, exhibiting your lack of gratitude by your silence. You are a DEI Vice President.
Vice President Harris, we welcome President Donald J. Trump to Arlington to lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier with our family and to visit Nicole graveside. President Trump and his team were respectful. They listened to our stories and didn't talk much at all. President Trump has called. President Trump shows up. And President Trump takes the time to hear our loved ones' stories. Why won't you do the same?
How do you sleep at night knowing it was you, this administration, you and Biden, you being the last one in the room, are responsible for the death of our 13 kids?
I guess, Senator, is it ever appropriate to make campaign content at military gravesites?
He didn't take campaign photos there. These families, Gold Star families, whose children died because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, invited him to the cemetery, and they asked him to take those photos because, as they told me yesterday when I spoke to Kelly Barnett and Darren Hoover, the parents of Taylor Hoover, who has Arkansas ties, they don't get to go to the beach on Labor Day. They don't get to have barbecues. This is their one chance to have a memory of their children, to commemorate their service and to honor their sacrifice. They wanted President Trump there. They wanted to take those photos. You know who the families also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where were they? Joe Biden was sitting at a beach. Kamala Harris was sitting at her mansion in Washington, D.C. She was 4 miles away. 10 minutes. She could have gone to the cemetery and honored the sacrifice of those young men and women. But she hasn't. She never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified transfer.
Because of
they were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence, those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
Promises from Kamala Harris, especially in regard to supporting the military and our military families, are false and baseless. They have not been proven, and she has not earned our respect.
Kamala, we have been treated with the utmost respect, compassion, and understanding by President Trump.
Former President Donald Trump posted a series of videos on X from Gold Star parents whose children were killed during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, in which they blasted Vice President Kamala Harris for being responsible for the deaths of their 13 children. Earlier on Saturday, Harris ripped Trump on the social media site, claiming he disrespected sacred ground by engaging in a wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery, honoring the 13 U.S. service members killed in an ISIS-K suicide bombing at Kabul Airport on August 26, 2021, which Harris identified as a political stunt. While it is not prohibited to take pictures at the cemetery, federal law does prohibit campaign activities from taking place. Trump's campaign brought photographers to the event last week, which allegedly led to a physical altercation with a cemetery staffer. The families denied the assault took place and claimed that they had requested that photos and video be taken. Gold Star parents, who lost loved ones in the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, blasted Vice President Kamala Harris over her attack on former President Trump for paying his respects at Arlington National Cemetery last week. Gold Star parents of the servicemen and women killed in action shot back at Harris's comments, blaming the VP for the botched Afghanistan withdrawal and blasting her for her lack of support. Harris accused Trump of playing politics with the visit, but in a series of short videos, 8 families said they had invited Trump and bitterly blasted the Biden-Harris administration over the disastrous pullout that left 13 U.S. service members dead 3 years ago. The families denied that the event was political and blasted Harris and the Biden administration for their refusal to reach out to them. The messages, each featuring different parents of service members killed by ISIS-K terrorists amid the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, were posted on former President Trump's social media accounts. The videos were released in the wake of a statement published by Harris on Saturday, where the vice president criticized Trump for taking photographs at a wreath-laying ceremony event on Monday. The Gold Star parents maintained that they had asked Trump for photographs, as opposed to Trump taking pictures to advance his campaign. In these videos posted by the Gold Star family members, Harris was described as heinous, vile, disgusting, lacking empathy or decency, and disrespectful. The Gold Star parents all heavily focused on Harris never once contacting them to express their remorse or even saying any of these fallen soldiers' names publicly, in which they noted how present and compassionate Trump has been towards them since the tragedy. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance said Harris can go to hell for criticizing Trump over the Arlington visit at a campaign rally Wednesday. Vance stated, "The other thing that our veterans care more about is that 3 years ago, 13 brave, innocent Americans died. And they died because Kamala Harris refused to do her job. And there hasn't been a single investigation or a single firing." I agree with Vance's stance regarding the Harris campaign completely being in the wrong for politicizing this event. Per the Gold Star parents, Harris never once tried to contact any of them, nor did she even attempt to attend this ceremony. Harris pretends to have respect for these 13 fallen soldiers, when in fact she publicly claims that the Afghanistan withdrawal was successful. I don't consider the deaths of 13 American soldiers as successful, and I can only imagine the courage it took for these Gold Star family members to share their stories. Hearing the testimonies of these family members makes it even more evident how inept Harris truly is and the lack of leadership that she has.